Kathy Gress again, and I am back for my new geriatric care management channel on YouTube, and it's all based on my geriatric care management agency operations manual, which is out right now. And you can find it on my website, kathygress.com. And we are now doing fast flash geriatric care management. It takes me 2 hours or more to teach what I'm teaching right now. So I'm doing it in 3 minutes, and we're doing it in segments. So I've already done several segments on the channel. You can go back and look. And we are now doing psychosocial assessment, and we're going to do the first part of a psychosocial assessment, which is the history. And remember, you're like Mary Russell, which is who she's the wife of Sherlock Holmes, so you're a detective. And you're solving a mystery, which is you're solving a problem. And the problem is you have this older Lebanese man who you've been hired to assess by his sister. And you're finding out a little bit more now. In our last segment we covered that. Now we're going to do his history, because we found out a number of things, and you can go back and look at the last segment. And that he was recently widowed and had been married for 60 years. That wasn't part of the discussion in the telephone conversation of the sister who was 79, who called you from New York. So, history of this gentleman. This is history in any psychosocial assessment. It's not just, you know, his birth date, and it's not just plain old dates. You're going to describe him as a human being. So his history is that, you know, it's your childhood, it's who are your siblings, it's what job did you have, who are you as a human being. You're not just an old sick person. That's not what you're doing in geriatric care management. You're trying to get this rounded sense of a human being who is many things. So this older gentleman, who you've now gone to his home, he's socially isolated, he's recently widowed, and he had a fall, and he's had several falls, not going out at all. Let's start from the beginning. He was born in Lebanon. He came to this country at 5 years old, along with his younger sister, who's called you from New York. He worked in he was part of World War II. He was in the Army. But he was trained as a radio operator, which was pretty cool at that time, because radio was new. And if you have any greatest generation grandparents, you know, they sat around the radio and listened to the radio. It was just a, you know, really exciting thing. So he was a radio operator, this older man. And he fell in love with his high school sweetheart. And he married her. This all was in what used to be called the Valley of My Heart's Delight, which was Santa Clara Valley before Silicon Valley. It was covered with plums and cherry blossoms, and it smelled delicious. So he was stationed there, and he got married to his high school sweetheart. And then, lo and behold, Silicon Valley came about, and the Valley of My Heart's Delight sort of went away. And he was already trained as a radio operator. So he was retrained. He understood how to network, which is a very important thing in, learning how to use computers. He wasn't Steve Jobs. He didn't, invent the Apple in his garage. But he was someone who could go in to work at Silicon Valley. And so he had a job at an early computer company in Silicon Valley, and he worked for years doing his job. He loved his job. He had kids. He has one boy, an older son. He didn't have any other children, very sad for he and his wife, but he had one boy who has now become a doctor. His wife died about 6 months ago. Remember, they were married for 60 years. They have bought, they actually put money away to move into assisted living, but he won't do it. He refuses to do it. He wants to stay in his home. But he's totally isolated, has a series of falls. And so you've seen, like, you know, the whole history of this guy, and you've filled in the important blank as Sherlock Holmes. You know that he's recently widowed. You know that he's had falls. So you know there are 2 holes in his safety net. You know that he only has 1 child. So, you know, if you have the more children you have, you know, the easier it is to share the care. And so you're going to be Charlotte the Spider and fix the safety net. But you need some more information, and so you need to do a depression assessment and anxiety assessment, and that's what we're going to talk about next. If you want to know more about me, go to my website, kathykress.com. You can find out about the operations manual, all of my books, everything that I've written, anything you want to know about me, and I will see you next time.